Often it's a choice between, do you want to have a good day or do you want to have a long day? And I think some people are choosing to have a long day without realizing they're giving up having a good day. If
Mhm.
you need 8 hours, that means you've got a 16-hour day. If you shrink your sleep to 6 hours, that means all of a sudden you've got an 18-hour day. Theoretically, you could get more done in 18 hours if you felt good, but you're going to feel more anxious. You're going to be making the wrong or different food choices. You're going to have more difficulty in your relationships. Your brain's not going to be as snappy. So, really, you have 18 hours, yes, more hours, but they're not going to be as good. And I think it's a better strategy to prioritize having a good day, if possible, by getting the rest you need, both wakeful rest and sleep.
What's up, you beautiful beasts? I'm Katie. I'm on a mission to help humans become their favorite versions of themselves and to strive for overall health by healing their relationship to food and exercise, healing their relationship to their body, and most importantly, healing their relationship to themselves, all without ever having to step on a scale. I have had the privilege to talk to all kinds of different humans who have been through a plethora of experiences just being a human and existing. I believe that every single time someone shares their story, at least one person listening will learn from it, be inspired by it, and maybe, just maybe, even change the entire direction of their life. These are the stories of humans unveiling their beautiful beast. Keep listening. This is the Unveiling the Beast podcast. Well, welcome to the Unveiling the Beast podcast. Can you tell the listeners and myself a little bit about who you are and why you think you are who you are?
Yeah, so my name is Dr. Catherine Darley. I'm a natural sleep expert, and sleep is my passion. I got interested in sleep health when I was in my late teens, in 18 years old, and I've really followed that my whole adult life, and it's given a lot of joy and meaning. Plus, it helps people. Um, that's a little bit about me and why am I who I am. I think sometimes we have influences that we go, oh, I want to be like that. And then we have other influences that we go, there's no way I want to be like that. So it's a combination, right? This passion that I've
Mm-hmm.
had, the people I've run into, intersected in my life.
Mm, I love that. And it's so true. It's not just one thing that shapes us. It's always like our life experience as a whole. Um, so I just want to get down and dirty into sleep right away. Um, I do have like two main questions. We'll go one at a time. What happens in our bodies when we sleep?
Well, sleep is happening in our brain. It's also happening in throughout our body in terms of our organs, because sleep is really designed to be a rest and restorative state. So things like our blood pressure decreases, our heart rate decreases. Those organs are taking a rest when we are getting normal, healthy sleep. Our brain waves are very different during sleep than they are from wakefulness. And actually, we have this lymph system in our brain, kind of like you have a lymph system in your body. Maybe you have a cold, your lymph system, your lymph nodes will get enlarged. Anyway, the lymph system is about clearing waste products. And we have one in our brain that opens up to almost twice its size during sleep and helps clear metabolic waste products from our brain. Some of those metabolic waste products are associated with Alzheimer's disease, a cognitive decline of aging. So we really want to be having the sleep that we need. One simple reason is for our brain health. So that's really interesting. And I think about the areas that are improved by sleep in 5 domains. The first one is our physical health, and then second, our mental health. Everything from your blood pressure to diabetes, blood sugar control, arthritis, inflammation, those are all going to be worse when you're not getting the sleep you need. And then mental health, anxiety, depression. If you take someone who needs 8 hours of sleep, and you give them only 6 hours, you are going to noticeably increase their level of anxiety just that following day. Think about how many people struggle with anxiety, and this could be part of the comprehensive treatment plan, is just making sure that you're getting the sleep you need so that you are able to not feel anxious and have that sense of calm that we all want to have in our life. And then the last three domains, I think about physical performance, like having a good reaction time, being well coordinated, things that we need for driving. We may have a job that involves those physical skills. Then cognitive function, cognitive performance. How snappy are we in our thinking? Can we remember simple names? And then can we do the other end of the cognitive spectrum, which is complex problem solving? And then the last domain, the fifth one, is emotional intelligence. It really spills over into our relationships if we're not getting the sleep we need. We're less sensitive to other people's emotional cues, like the emotion that's showing in their face in a moment. And we're also less able to regulate ourselves. We're more likely to fly off the handle, say something that we didn't mean, that we shouldn't have said, if we're not getting the sleep we need.
Yeah. If it's okay with you, I want to dig in a little deeper into the physical performance piece. Because I have the people that listen and the clients I typically work with have been in the mindset of never miss a workout in the gym, or, go hard all the time. And sometimes it's better for us to skip the workout because we haven't had enough sleep, and it's probably not going to do us as much good physically as we think it will because we're, going for it. So what are your thoughts on that? Like how could the lack of sleep affect a workout and it's what's the word I'm looking for? It's I can't think of the word.
The
Not
effectiveness of
impact.
the workout or the benefits of.
Effectiveness. Effectiveness. Yeah.
Well, there's tons of data actually on athletic performance and sleep. And it's really interesting because regardless of what type of sport or athletics you're doing, whether it's road cycling or it's strength training or it's rugby or it's swimming or it's jogging, all of those have very clear data that people perform better when they are getting optimal sleep. And optimal sleep is really defined as the amount of sleep the individual needs. There's a bell curve. You hear about, 8 hours. 8 hours is the median, the middle, the average. Most people need somewhere around 8 plus or minus 2 hours. So you have maybe 2 to 3% of adults who truly only need 6. Unfortunately, it's about 30, over a third of us who are getting only 6 hours. So most people who are getting 6 hours, it's not going to be enough. But most people need somewhere around 8, and 7 to 9 is the typical. We have a few outliers that need only 6. We have a few outliers who need 10. So one great question for people to figure out is, how much sleep do I do best with? There's a couple ways you can figure this out. One is you can think back to a time that you were really well rested. Maybe you were unemployed and had more opportunity to sleep. Maybe you had an extended vacation where you weren't go, 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 but it was just kind of a rest and restore type of vacation. Other strategies, you can slowly increase your time in bed, maybe add 15 minutes every 3 or 4 days to your total time in bed until you're waking up before your alarm. That's a great, if you're waking up to an alarm, you have not gotten enough sleep. Hands down, end of sentence. if you're waking up to an alarm, you have not gotten enough sleep.
So I can
The
throw my
other,
alarm away.
yeah, throw it
Okay,
away.
sorry to interrupt.
The last way I just want to mention is what I call the 10 by 10 test, which is where for 10 nights in a row, you give yourself 10 hours in bed. This is not something for people who have insomnia, but for people who think that they're probably chronically sleep deprived and they just really want to find out how much sleep do I actually do best with.
Mhm.
For those 10 nights, have it be on a regular schedule. Do all the things you can to make your bedroom an ideal place to sleep, dark, cool, quiet, all the things. And let your friends and family know, hey, I'm doing this. Please don't interrupt me between this hour and this hour because I'm sleeping and and the first night, it's likely you'll sleep the whole 10 hours if you're as sleep deprived as many of us are. And then hopefully those last couple nights, you'll be getting a little less sleep and you'll be feeling great. You'll be at the top of your game. So that is really important for people who are concerned about their workouts and getting the most out of their workouts. The other reason is, when we work out, we get little micro tears in our muscles, right? We want those to heal, and growth hormone. I'm sure your clients and audience think about and know about growth hormone helps us repair our muscles. 75 to 85% of our total growth hormone is secreted during sleep. So if you're not getting adequate sleep, you're not going to have that growth hormone on board to help heal your body in time for that next workout.
Mm, that's wild. I didn't know it was that high.
Yeah.
Oh, so on this same path, what happens in our bodies? Um, Maybe we could do it in sections of what happens when we don't get enough sleep. Like what happens to our appetite, what happens to our metabolism, what happens to our brain. And I know you kind of covered a little bit of it, but
A
yeah,
little
can you
deeper
go into more?
dive.
Yeah, a little deeper.
Sure. So one thing that people may not know is that your appetite hormones actually change when you don't get enough sleep. We have two appetite hormones. I'm specifically thinking about leptin and ghrelin. They're responsible for you feeling full after you've eaten, and also shapes your appetite and your choices. What foods appeal? What do you reach for? And we know that when people are sleep deprived, say they need 8, they're getting 6. Sounds pretty typical for a lot of people's experience. That just 2 hours of sleep deprivation will change their food choices. People, the first study that I'm aware of, it was just kind of a study that was tucked into a larger study. So the research participants were at the sleep lab or at the research center all day. And for this appetite portion, they were given a coupon for the cafeteria, and they could just go to the cafeteria, choose whatever foods they wanted. They had a sleep deprived state and they had a regular state. The same people, when they were well rested, chose more lean fish and chicken, a lot more vegetables, minimal sweets. Then they sleep deprived the folks. They got to again go to the cafeteria, choose whatever they wanted. They chose the fatty meat, the beef. They chose no vegetables. They chose the bread and the sweets. So it was much higher fat and simple carbs. Same people probably have the same dietary habits, in their regular life outside of the research study. So it's typically about 300 calories more a day that a person will eat when they're sleep deprived. And to put that into perspective, if we eat 300 calories more a day for a year, that's a 30-pound weight gain. And just think about how many people are struggling with, 20 to 30 pounds of extra. If they
Mhm.
got enough sleep, they might make different food choices and better able to shed the weight.
Yeah, and that for me that brings up the question of how many people don't even realize this is happening and they're in um that I don't necessarily want to call it food noise, but that state of mind like I don't understand why I'm getting all these cravings. I don't understand why I'm making these choices. Why can't I just choose the healthy thing? And they're beating themselves up over it instead of kind of looking at the whole picture. of like, am I getting enough sleep?
Right. And just to understand that our food choices are shaped by our hormones. They're
Hmm.
not, it's not random, it's not lack of discipline, it's not lack of knowledge or motivation. We've got all of those things, but if your hormones are altered by sleep deprivation, you're just really, excuse me, working uphill and against your body.
Mm. Yeah. I'm wondering if you can speak to, I want to say new parents specifically, but parents in general who just typically don't get enough sleep.
Yeah, that is a challenge because there's just so much to do, and you want to do it all, right?
Hmm.
I'm against that. I'm against that. I'm strongly for people taking the time to rest when they are awake, like have some leisure time. I think for me, my definition of a reasonable amount of leisure time is 2 to 3 hours on work nights to just like do what you want to do, whether it's, doing some craft or sitting out in the yard and chit-chatting with people, watching TV on your own, whatever it is that gives you some joy, emphasis on the joy. I'm not sure how much joy we get from watching TV, but, I think a reasonable standard of life is to have some leisure time every
Hmm.
day, whatever you define as reasonable, and then having enough time for sleep. And one thing that I think about, and I don't know if people are quite as clear as this, is often it's a choice between, do you want to have a good day or do you want to have a long day? And I think many people are choosing to have a long day without realizing they're giving up having a good day. If you need 8 hours, that means you've got a 16-hour day. If you shrink your sleep to 6 hours, that means all of a sudden you've got an 18-hour day. Theoretically, you could get more done in 18 hours if you felt good, but you're going to feel more anxious. You're going to be making the wrong or different food choices. You're going to have more difficulty in your relationships. Your brain's not going to be as snappy. So, really, you have 18 hours, yes, more hours, but they're not going to be as good. And I think it's a better strategy to prioritize having a good day every
Yeah.
day, a good day if possible, by getting the rest you need, both wakeful rest and sleep. And
Yeah.
if you think about it, if you give yourself 8 hours of sleep and you give yourself another 2 hours of leisure time, you've still got 14 hours to get stuff done. That's a lot of
Hmm.
time, and let's just be gentle on ourselves and enjoy our lives.
Yeah. Question, does the leisure time, which it counts as rest, right? Leisure rest. Does that
Mhm.
affect how we sleep?
Absolutely. And I think about it like revving an engine or speeding down the freeway. If you are like going nonstop, running high throughout the day, and then you want to be here for sleep, you need some transition time. I think about it as like the freeway off ramp. Like you systematically slow down before you come to a stop,
Right.
right? And rest can be that for us. Go from that sympathetic run, 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 fight or flight, hustle culture into a parasympathetic rest and digest state. And you need to just kind of slowly get there.
Hmm. I'm glad you brought up hustle culture because I was actually going to ask about that. I've brought this up so many times. My listeners are probably getting sick of hearing it, but like this whole hustle culture that we're in, where it's go 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 go. Look at me, I'm getting all this stuff done, but then you're not resting. And at some point, like if you keep that up, your body's going to be like, nope, we're not doing this anymore. And then you'll get sick or something will happen where your body will just shut down and be like, nope. Like your body will tell you
Absolutely.
when to rest at some point.
Absolutely. One interesting thing that comes out repeatedly over and over, it's really well accepted in the sleep world, is that there's this U-shaped curve between sleep amount on the bottom axis and mortality, actually. So people who sleep 6 hours have high mortality. People who sleep 8 have lower mortality, and then people who sleep 9 or 10 or they're longer sleepers have higher mortality again. So that gives us this U-shaped curve. And the thought is, like you said, those people who are getting only 6 hours, they're putting so much strain on their body that it's giving out early. And then we think with the long sleepers having also higher mortality is that it's likely that there's some underlying disease process that's causing them to need that long sleep, whether or not it's been identified, and that's contributing, that underlying condition is contributing to the higher mortality. So, if you want to have a good life day by day, a good day, get enough sleep. If you want to have a long life, get enough sleep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that. I think too, it also extends into not just our physical well-being, but like the relationships in our life, because it affects mood, it affects um decisions that we make, like when we're not getting enough sleep. I have a friend who does not get enough sleep, and this person is just like MIA. Like I don't even know what's going on with them, but and I know all of the little things in this person's life that are going wrong for them is because of lack of sleep. So like I have this empathy because of the lack of sleep, and I get where the mindset comes from of I have to do all these things or I'm not going to make it in life. And
Yeah,
and it's like chill. You know what I mean? So it can affect
right.
relationships, it can affect work. Um yeah.
Absolutely. So
Mhm.
one really interesting thing that I think has a ripple effect is if we're working at the same place, Katie, and I'm sleep deprived, I come in, I glance at you, I can't tell from your face because I'm sleep deprived whether you're happy or angry. Think about how many times you walk into a room, walk into a situation that you get an instant read and okay, this person looks happy. I can be kind of sassy and fun and make a joke and it'll go well. But if they look angry, you need to tone it down. You need to check in with them, kind of prioritize their experience over what you were maybe going to share about your weekend or whatever. And think about the impact on relationships if you're chronically sleep deprived and time after time after time you're missing that critical information about the other person, and therefore you're not able to respond appropriately to them. That can make a really big difference in our relationships. And we see sleep deprived people don't have good behavior in the workplace.
Yeah. Is it both good behavior and performance?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, I mean, even simple things like typing speed go down when you're not well rested. But there's also some really interesting workplace sleep research, and people who are sleep deprived are more likely to send um, confrontational or inappropriate emails to their coworker. That can have a really big consequence, as we know.
Mhm.
So lots of, and then for people who are working in a physical job, uh, injuries and accidents increase quite significantly if they're having a sleep problem.
Mm. Well, I appreciate all of this information. I think it's really helpful for everybody to understand that health is not just what we eat and how we move. It's so many other things. And sleep, as I told you before, I think it's like right in the middle of all of the things that affect our health. So I appreciate you coming on the show and talking about sleep. Is there anything else you want the listeners to know that you think is important for them to know, but maybe they don't? Does that make sense?
Yes, yes. I'm glad you asked that because, I've talked a lot about sleep duration, how long you're sleeping, because that is one of the factors that's most in our control. But
Mm-hmm.
there's also the timing of your sleep in terms of sleeping more in the morning and earlier at night. If you're a morning person, sleeping later, if you're a night owl, honoring that. And then there's sleep disorders. Do you have obstructive sleep apnea? Do you have restless leg syndrome, insomnia? What I'd really like people to know is that there are 58 sleep disorders. That's a lot. You could have a sleep disorder and not know it. Sleep disorders are widely underdiagnosed. So, you've gotten good information here. I'm sure people are, following good health information on social media and on the internet and whatnot. If you're doing all of the things to improve your sleep for about 6 weeks, 5 or 6 weeks, and you're just not getting traction, take that as an opportunity to go to a physician and have a appointment that is focused on your sleep, just to make sure. Because sometimes I hear from people, I tried so hard for a year and a half. I was doing all the things, the sleep hygiene, the light, the exercise, the, calming down before bed, and it just wasn't working. And it turns out, well, sure, it's not working because you have undiagnosed obstructive sleep apnea. And once we diagnose and treat that, then your sleep is going to be on track.
That's insane. I could probably think of 5 off the top of my head, but 58. I'm probably
Yeah.
going to end this and then go look it up. But yeah. I have one more question for you that I ask everyone at the end of every episode, and I recently started asking differently. So, if every single person on Earth stopped what they were doing and looked at you and said, "Please give me some advice about my life," what would you say?
I would say choose a good day over a long day.
Boom.
Boom.
Beautiful beasts, Dr. Catherine Darley signing off. Until next time.